Hi there everyone, Josiah here with Womprat Creations, and Merry Christmas. This video is going to be coming out on Christmas Day, although for me it is not Christmas. But I'm going to be working on a Christmas present today, specifically for my wife. My wife has a problem in this newish house that we're in. Our mirror in our bathroom is up pretty high on the wall, and she's pretty short. So she has a hard time doing her makeup in our bathroom mirror because it's so high up on the wall. So she has mentioned in the past that she would appreciate a vanity, and so that is what I'm going to attempt to make today. I'm hoping that this is a little different than the other types of woodworking stuff that I've done in the past, whereas the woodworking stuff I've done in the past has been here in the shop. So if it's a little janky, it's not a big deal. As long as it serves its purpose, it's fine. I don't mind if things are a little janky in the shop. But this, I would like for it to be a more well put together and well executed piece. So I'm going to do my best to get that accomplished. I already have my cut list here, and I am going to be making this out of some 3/4 inch plywood because I want it to last. So yeah, let's go over to the table saw and get to cutting. Alright you guys, I have all of my pieces cut out, and I am going to be moving on to assembly. So for that, I actually got a new tool that I'm going to be using for the first time. I got an air stapler. This is an 18 gauge 1/4 inch crown stapler, and I'm really excited to put this to use and see how it does with this 3/4 thick plywood. So let's see. Alright you guys, so I have my base structure completed, and you could see that I was having a little bit of difficulties with the stapler. Not that it is malfunctioning in any way. It's just a new tool and I haven't figured out the best operating parameters for it yet. This is the first time I'm using it on anything. So at first I didn't have my PSI on my my air pressure on my compressor high enough, so the staples weren't going all the way in. They were kind of going half in, so I kind of had to cut the backs off of those and put them put some more staples on that. The reason that luckily that portion that it was kind of messed up on is the bottom part that's going to be sitting against the ground, which is why you never want to work on the hero side of whatever you're working on when you're trying something new. When you're trying something new, experiment on the back side, underside, whatever side doesn't really matter on your project, practice on that side. So the rest of this was fine for the most part. I am going to have to cover the staples themselves. They're underneath the surface of the wood, which is great, but I'm going to have to cover up the little indents that they made in the wood. I'll just do that with some wood filler. This probably wasn't the best application of the stapler, but I was excited. I wanted to try it, and it's working out a lot better than the pin nailer that I have, which nothing against my pin nailer, I love it, but when you're working with 3/4 inch thick wood, that's not enough. That's not enough. I do have a finish nailer, but that also seemed like too much. This turned out to be too much too, but that's okay. It's a new tool, and I learned that this isn't really the spot to use it. But now that I have my base structure completed, what I'm going to do now is, what am I going to do now? I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull out my palm sander, give this whole thing a nice, well, no, I guess now what I need to do is use some wood filler to cover up these staple marks. And then I'll pull out my palm sander, give this whole thing a nice sanding down, and then I'll also use that time that I have my palm sander out to sand all of the pieces for the drawers. That way I don't need to worry about, I mean, you can't really sand them once they're assembled. So I'm going to put down some wood filler on these few little staples that I put in, sand everything down, sand my drawer bits down, and then I'm going to assembly line some drawer assembly. Yeah, that's it. Sounds like a plan. All right, so I have all of my drawers assembled and put into their places. I know that they operate fairly smoothly. With these types of drawers, they'll get better with use. It kind of, as things rub together and change, they function better. The reason that I'm so fond of this drawer style where I have the bottom extend out and go into these slots that I cut into the sides is they work really well. It keeps your drawer in place, and it's essentially it's essentially a no-cost solution to drawer slides, which as you all know I use for my workbench, and they work fantastic when installed properly, but they can be expensive, and especially when I'm doing this many drawers. I mean, there's 8 drawers in this Vanity. That adds up. So this is a cost-saving measure that also is just a little easier. It is dealer's choice though. If you know whatever kind of cabinet you're making, you can use whatever kind of drawer solution you'd like. But I am a fan of these insert drawers. The other thing that I've done with these drawers is that the back, I ended my drawer a couple inches from the back of the bottom. And the reason for that is because I hate when you have a drawer that doesn't open all the way and there's stuff in the back and you gotta move everything out of the way to get to the stuff in the back. So by leaving a couple of inches on the back end of this, it allows you to effectively pull the drawer completely out and still have it in the cabinet. You have access to everything in there, and you don't need to worry about stuff getting lost in the back of drawers. So that is my general philosophy on drawers. Now I need to make drawer faces. I need to put faces on all of these so that they're easy to take out and they look good. So I need to take some measurements and get back over to the table saw. This should be, I think, the last thing that I'm cutting on the table saw. All right, you guys, I am at the point now where all of my drawers have faces. Everything is essentially assembled. Kind of. We have a whole other piece that I haven't even started on yet. But as far as the base of this vanity, we're good to go. We are on to paint next. But I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about this point that happens in not every build, but a lot of builds, for me anyways. I wanted to talk about this because it might be something that some of you guys experience as well. And I call it the imposter moment because it lives in a very similar space in my head as imposter syndrome. But this moment that I'm talking about, the imposter moment, is the moment of truth for every build, where you get to a point where you're not sure if you're going to pull this one off. You're not, like, you can see all of the tiny imperfections, and it just feels like the whole thing could either go one way or the other with this next step. And for me, that step is usually paint. Whenever I get to the point where I'm about to paint whatever it is that I'm working on, is the step where I go, oh my gosh, this looks like crap right now, and I don't know if I'm going to pull this one off. And then you put on your paint, and sometimes you go, oh, thank God, this actually came together okay, this looks decent. And then other times you're like, this looks terrible, I need to do something to fix this. And this is that point in the build for me. There's been a lot of tiny mess ups that I think I can hide. They're not critical mess ups, but they're enough that I know it. And when I have a couple of them on the same build, it starts to feel, like I said, it's a very similar headspace as imposter syndrome, which is where, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't claim to be any kind of expert on anything, but sometimes you get the thought of, you know, do I know what I'm doing? Like, why am I working on this kind of stuff? I don't know what I'm doing, but that's okay. That's a normal. I think if you have, it's a humility thing. I think if you don't experience that at least every once in a while, it's probably a bad sign. I mean, I don't want to talk for you guys, but in my experience, I think it's a healthy thing. But I wanted to share with you that I'm feeling that pretty heavy on this build. I want to make this a good looking piece, and I really hope that I can pull it off. But this is the moment, this is the imposter moment in this build where I'm like, this is all about to really work out, or it's all about to hit the fan. And we're going to find out together what the result is right now, because I'm going to get to painting. So hopefully everything works out well. Yeah, let's get to painting. All right, you guys, the cabinet portion of the vanity is painted, and I will show you guys in just a moment. But there's one more thing to paint, and that is maybe the most essential part of a vanity, and that is the mirror. And I have this giant mirror that was actually a part of my wife and I's bedroom set, and since moving, we don't need it as part of the bedroom set. So we've had this giant mirror with this nice frame just sitting there with no purpose. So I figured this was perfect. I am giving this mirror a new purpose, and it's not something that we have to either store for whenever we do need it in the future or throw it away. I mean, it's a giant, nice mirror. I don't want to throw this away. So I figured this was a good use for it. But I need to paint the frame in order for it to go with the vanity. And I could take the mirror out of this, but that requires some disassembly that I'm not sure I can actually put back together. These things really aren't meant to be put through that kind of thing. They're kind of once it's assembled, it's a complete unit. And so I think what I'm going to have to do is just mask off the mirror. Yeah, and then whatever kind of gunk the masking tape leaves behind, I can clean up afterwards. But yeah. Yep, that's it. I got to mask off the mirror, which is... it's going to be a little bit of a chore. But that's okay. Let's get to work. Okay, everything's painted. The only thing left is to put it into the room that it's going into and setting everything up, which isn't very involved. But let's go do that. All right, you guys, so it's actually been a couple days, and my wife has, as you can see, moved into her vanity, and she has been using it, and she's very pleased with it. And while I am not unpleased with it, it is still, I accomplished what I set out to do. It has all of the basic requirements of a vanity. It has a big mirror that she can see herself and do all of her makeup and stuff. I did have a plan to have some lights on the mirror, but that didn't really pan out, but it's okay, it still functions, and all of the drawers function pretty well. Pretty well. Not the best, but not the worst I've done either. So I'm going to call this build a success. I'm pleased with it, and the important thing is my wife is pleased with it, so that's always a good thing. So thank you guys for tuning in for this week's Scratch Build. Merry Christmas. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Hey, thank you so much for watching that whole video. That really helps us out with continuing to bring you these cool videos. The other thing that really helps us out is our merch. You can head over to wompratcreations.com and pick yourself up some really cool stuff, just like this Visit Scenic Hoth Travel t-shirt. Thanks, guys.
517 to scanner control. 517 to scanner control.
316, report to control.
5-3 to upper bay door. 5-3 to upper bay door.